Well, good afternoon, New York Jet fans and NFL fans. It's September 26, 2022, 2:45 p.m., Monday, about 5.5 hours away from Monday Night Football and the New York Giants hosting Dallas Cowboys at MetLife Stadium to close out week 3 of the 2022-2023 season. Now, last week I didn't do a video after the comeback win. I think a lot of people covered that. What more could we say? This week, I usually wait till the Monday night game starts, or maybe Tuesday, to do a video to go over the game. But it's a little different. I'm going to do something a little different today. I'm not really going to recap the game like I would in detail. I just want to talk about the emotions, what's going through the mindset, and everything that's going on. First off, let me just paint the picture of going to the game. And for those of you who attend the games regularly or attend, multiple games or whatever it is, it's just a different atmosphere than watching it on TV. You can't feel the electricity in stadiums watching on TV. Um, so yesterday, you get to the game a little later than they usually do, and you can see the anticipation and the excitement in people's faces. We spoke last week about Salah with the receipt remark after the Baltimore loss and how the team came back and won last week. And I spoke about here, does that turn the tide for the organization, for the franchise? Does it move things over? I don't know. Um, right now, no, it did not do anything. Um, it was a statement made one week. The team kind of reacted the following week, and the team didn't react last week. Now, I'm not going to take anything away from last week's win. Basically, less than 2 minutes. I think maybe less than 2 minutes. I don't know if it was less than a minute and a half. I think it was a minute 55. The Jets come back down 13 points. I mean, everything had to happen the right way. Scored a quick touchdown, hit the extra point, get the onside kick, recover the onside kick, score another touchdown, hit the extra point, stop the Cleveland Browns from scoring or getting to field goal range, interception, they get it. So you get to the game and people are talking about last week. People are talking about taking the next step. And the Bengals with a banged up offensive line. And Joe Burrow, I think, was sacked 7 times in the first 2 games. I think he was sacked only 11 times all last year. Whatever the stats were, it's just coming out of everywhere. And you go in and fans are doing the JETS, Jets chant going up the escalators. They're ready. Compared to last year, where the Bengals came in on Halloween, that Mike White game, where I think the Bengal fans took up a quarter to maybe 35% of the stadium. This week, maybe 10%. They were scattered, they were there, but not loud and proud as they were last year. And I'm not saying not proud, but not as loud because there wasn't as many there. We're watching warm-ups, and Garrett Wilson's getting ovations. Joe Flacco's getting ovations. CJ Mosley, everybody just, whenever somebody familiar, takes the helmet off or whatever, applause. They're playing on the big screen the week before his game against the Browns, that minute or so's segment where, all those events happen for the Jets to win that game. And you can feel the anticipation. And then, the new thing now in MetLife is the fans sing along to the national anthem, which is beautiful because you actually hear the voices of the fans too singing. It's just something a little different, and it really is a meaningful thing. Then they do the starting lineups, and you want to hear about how quickly emotions turn. They say the New York Minute, New York Metropolitan Minute, New York, New Jersey Minute, we'll call it this week. Starting lineups. And I tell my daughter they're going to do the offense because of last week's game. And lo and behold, offense gets announced in. And the running backs get a great ovation. The wide receivers get a great ovation. Okay, even the tight end who fumbled twice last week and had a couple of drops gets a nice ovation. Garrett Wilson gets one of the loudest ovations I've heard in a few seasons. Joe Flacco gets one even louder. He's the last one out, and the place is going wild. Okay? Cincinnati wins the toss. They're going to elect to receive. Like, all right, Bengals get the ball, defense got to step up. And you think they did, and you think they get that stand, and there's a roughing the passer penalty. Then there's something else. And then before the game is ended, it's three personal fouls, two of them against the Jet defense, which cost them because they were holding the Bengals on a drive, and it cost them to get off the field and gave up two touchdowns. One was late in the game where the Jets were, I believe, in the red zone, if not even deeper, closer to the 15 or the 10. And Corey Davis gets into a shoving match and grabs the defender's face mask 15 yards. And that comes back to haunt them. Because at that point, the Jets are down by 15, so it's a two-score game yet. People are still believing. There's about 11 minutes left. Jets just hooked up for a few passes. They're moving the ball a little bit, something they didn't really do all game. Before that, it was just four field goals. And that just deflates it. But the game started probably a little after 1, maybe 103, 105, 106, something like that. By 2:30, 2:45, the chance for Mike White were up. When Joe Flacco wasn't being sacked or knocked down or fumbling, he was underthrowing, overthrowing, and throwing picks. Braxton Berrios on the offense was not seen. He lined up a few plays. He got one play towards him where he took a reverse and he lost like 8 yards. Garrett Wilson got slammed on a catch that he held on to with 7 minutes left in the first half. He didn't come back till the third quarter. Quincy Williams left. I think it's a broken ankle. It's just the game was your typical Cincinnati Bengals Jets game, but with Cincinnati firing 3 touchdowns in the air. So how Dendenberry, Joe Burrow may have looked, his offensive line may have looked, the Jet defense made him look like the Joe Burrow of last year. The Jet offense, when Garrett Wilson's not out there, they can muster nothing. There's no receivers getting open. There is no separation. There was one point before the end of the half, and I understand a little bit why they did it, but the Jets had to blow one of their timeouts. They got the ball back. Let me say this. Before that, Cincinnati had what appeared to be a 4th and goal from the 1 on a completion to the 1-yard line. Saleh used his challenge. And the guy behind me said, you should call a timeout and use his challenge, and it worked. First of all, he got a timeout for his defense, and it showed that the catch was not complete. So it moved them back to the 5. So instead of 4th and goal from the 1, it's 4th and goal from the 5. And it held Cincy to a field goal. The Jets get the ball back, and they're moving the ball downfield, and then they have to burn some timeouts. And then on, second down, they have the receivers run routes, and they throw the ball out of bounds. Next play, third down, throw the ball out of bounds. And then they line up for a field goal. Take a shot to the end zone. Take a shot. Maybe you get the call. You're already in field goal range. But, all right, that was their strategy. The Jets still went into halftime within striking distance. It was always a game. Fast forward to that Corey Davis personal foul. It brings him back 15 yards. And now it's starting to rain. And people are still sitting there because we still are believing, hey, we did it last week. The Bengals are, the last 2 games have not been able to pull the games out. This is what's going to happen. Flacco is going to pull this off. And they get a pass to Garrett Wilson with a nice catch. And I tell my daughter, we got to see what they do. But if it's coming down harder, let's watch it from the back. And she says, let's see the review. And they rule it a catch and whatnot. But again, personal foul. They move him back. Terrible play calling. And on 4th down and goal, and they have to score a touchdown, Flacco gets sacked. And with that, 35 to 40,000 people stand up at the same time and they walk out. We're walking up the stairs, pouring rain, in a long jam, and there's a Jet fan there, passionate Jet fan. I'm not going to badmouth them, saying, I can't believe you people are leaving. There's still 10:02 left in the game. It's only 2 scores. By the time we got to the car, it was a 2-minute warning, and the Jets still didn't do anything. And it was still within 2 scores. And I think Flacco ended the game with an interception. 27 to 12. Flacco's stats: 28 of 52 for 285, 5.5 yards an attempt, 53.8 rating. He threw 2 picks. He fumbled, lost a fumble. I mean, he was not good. But what I'm going to say this is 285, so he's 15 yards away from another 300-yard game passing, but the offense couldn't muster anything. The game plan to me is just so vanilla, okay? And people are saying, and I'm listening to sports talk, and you got the locals saying maybe they're gearing it towards Zach Wilson and the offense is not geared towards Flacco, but your coaching staff has to gear your offense towards the plays it has. Ask anybody. The player either fits the scheme or the scheme fits the player. If one of them doesn't, it's not going to work. So the Jets fall to 1-2, but let's be honest with ourselves. They are a tremendous Browns meltdown away from being 0-3. And we're looking at yet another season going into October, because the next game is October 3rd, that the Jets are basically out of playoff contention. The first 4 weeks of the game for the season. Now, I looked at playing the AFC North, and I called it, we're going to go 1-3 against the AFC North. We're going to lose to Baltimore, we're going to beat Cleveland, we're going to lose to Cincy, we're going to lose to Pitt. Because we never beat Pitt. But Pitt is hurting as much as the Jets are right now. But we could be the 1-3 that I said we're going to be. But looking at the way they're losing, that Ravens game, they were in the first half. It's a 2-half game. That Cleveland game, they had no business winning that late, but they won. So on the stats, it doesn't say how they won. 1-1. Yesterday's game, you steal a sloppy game, you steal a game, 2-1. Now you're looking at 1-3, okay? And I just want to go over, and I don't like to look ahead, but I just want to go over the next 3 games that they play. They're at Pittsburgh. They never win in the state of Pennsylvania. I think they won once in the state of Pennsylvania against the Steelers. That was 2010. They're home for Miami. Now, Miami fans always come to MetLife and represent, okay? So they're home for Miami. Miami is 3-0. They beat the Bills yesterday. Now, there's a few things going on down in Miami with Tua, and there's going to be an investigation about how he was rushed back from the protocol. He hit his head yesterday. He was staggering over the field. But Miami's coming in. So Miami could be 4-0 when they face us, or 3-1. Regardless, they're going to have a winning record facing us. We're not going to have a winning record. Even if we win next week, we'd have a 500 record. Then we go to Green Bay. Hello, Aaron Rodgers. We still don't have a pass rush. Okay? Pittsburgh, Miami, Green Bay. Are we looking at 1-6? Now, I had us at 2-5. We could be 1-6. We could be literally 0-6. But we had the Browns kind of give us that game last week. Which brings me to this. And I didn't think of this until, honestly, being in the car this morning, listening to WFAN. And shout out to WFAN. I don't want to take any credit from them. Excuse me. Little dry throat. Brandon Tierney and Tiki Barber do a segment every Monday with Joe Beningo from 11:40 to 12 o'clock. WFAN, the BT, and Tiki, there's your plug for your Joe Beningo, segment. And Joe talking about everything, and he said it's a time to look for a new coach because it starts with the coaching staff. You know, you have Quinton Williams screaming at his positional coach on the sidelines because he's arguing with his defensive coordinator that's up in the box. Okay? And on the play that they're arguing about, so basically it was 3rd and 9. third, and it was more than short. Okay, so I was going to say third and medium, third and mediocre, we'll call it. They sent the house to blitz Burrow. They sent everybody. It was a 7-man rush, one guy deep. Burrow hits his receiver because the blitz doesn't get to him. And instead of wrapping the receiver up, the defender, and his name doesn't come to mind right now, goes for the big hit. And the defender bounces off of him and runs 38 yards after catch. It's a 56-yard gain for a touchdown. Now, Quinnen was arguing that he wanted to do regular defensive, formation and regular pass defense. Defensive coordinator Urlacher didn't want that, and became 1-1 with your defender and your on the receiver. Now, if the defender makes the play, there's no issue. He might have picked up the first down, but there's no issue. But they didn't make the play. And Quinnen, and I like Quinnen, if you and your dogs, because you said you have dogs on this team that go after the quarterback, get to Burrow quicker, that pass is not complete. Maybe it's knocked down. Maybe it's hit at the line. Maybe it's a sack. But you're going to blame the defensive coordinator when the front seven can't get to the QB and the defensive back, the secondary, can't make the play. Okay? Then another defender said that the players and coaches need to meet and discuss the miscommunication that's going on. There's a disconnect there. So that's what's been going on our field with our players. Now, Beningo's saying start looking for a new coaching staff. He doesn't like his coaching staff. You know, we've played 20 games under Coach Saleh. 17 last year, 3 this year. Okay? Last year we went 3-14. This year, so far 1-3. So we're 4-17. I'm sorry, 4 we played 17 games. 4-6. 4-16 is our record right now. Is that a fair record to measure him on? No. Just like if he was reversed. I mean, 16-4 over the first 2 seasons. You know, like I said last week, you wouldn't erect a statue with him yet. But I don't see anything different other than having more talent on this team this year than last year. Zach being a rookie last year, okay. You know, the protocols that were in place last year, okay. I understand that. But we're at the bottom of the league in offensive scoring and passing and rushing and whatnot. There's an issue. You know, now LaFleur hasn't had, Zach Wilson on the field this season. Maybe he opens up the playbook when Zach comes back. Now, the starting quarterback has not been named yet. I'm thinking tomorrow, Wednesday, because Wednesday is usually the practice, Wednesday, Thursday. Now, you got to think, is it Zach? And if it's not Zach, why? What are they saying in practice that they go with Joe? Why not Mike White? Like, I don't get it. But whoever it is, the offense needs to be geared around his talents. Okay? Or it's time to look for another coach. And Beningo said today, and BT said today, Sean Payton. When do you call Sean Payton and say, Coach, what is it going to take you to come to the Jets? Now, from Parcells leaving, okay, the Jets have never had a head coach who was a head coach before. Parcells left, and they hired Belichick, and you know the whole thing with Belichick, he never coached a game for the Jets. Al Groh took over. He was a coordinator. Okay, Groh left, It was Herm Edwards. Herm Edwards was a coordinator. Herm Edwards left. It was Eric Mangini. Eric Mangini was a coordinator, or a coach. Never had a head coaching position. Eric Mangini is gone. Rex Ryan, coordinator. Rex Ryan is gone. Todd Bowles, coordinator. Todd Bowles is gone. Adam Gase. I don't know what coordinator you want to call him that. Adam Gase is gone. Saleh. Saleh comes with the rah-rah. He see them on the sidelines. He's the get back coach. All that. He's going to bring the intensity that Rex brought with the defensive mind that Rex brought, with the youth, that is taking over the NFL right now with McVay and all these young coaches, and it's not there. It was you play to win the game. It was, with Rex, I didn't come here to kiss Bill Belichick's rings. Play like a jet. With Saleh, started off with all gas, no brakes, and it went to receipts, and now I don't know what it is. But I said this at the beginning. Listen, I like that whole thing, all gas, no brakes. It's showing that you're not going to be pulling back the reins. You're not going to be conservative. You're going to go for it. You're not going to be that team where you're going to play for the field goal. Well, first of all, it hasn't been all gas, no brakes, because you haven't been playing for the touchdowns. You haven't been playing, for those big gains. That's number one. 3rd and 2, you throw the ball deep. Why? Why are you taking a high percentage or a low percentage completion chance when you only need a yard? And furthermore, all gas, no brakes, eventually you're going to hit something. You're going to hit a dead end. You're going to hit a brick wall. So it should be all gas and maybe brake. But that doesn't get catchy. That doesn't go on a t-shirt. That doesn't sound cool. This team right now at 1-2 is showing me no signs of it turning it around anytime soon. Now, with all due respect to Zach Wilson, I want to see what it is with him behind the center. Him swinging the rock. Him, running out of the pocket. Because you don't see that. You don't see the quarterback roll out to throw a pass with Joe Flacco. You don't see the quarterback scramble. I mean, yesterday, oh my God, the late in the game, they flush him out of the pocket, and he has open field ahead of him. Okay? Open field, 4 or 5 yards to gain, and they get out of bounds. He throws the ball through the end zone. Why? And you know what? You're not a rookie. And I don't want to say you were in the Super Bowl. You are in the league how many years? Why is this happening? So, hypothetically, and they were saying this on the fan, he goes 4-13, 3-14, 5-11. 5-12. Is Saleh back next year? Benigno says he can't see him coming back. With another 3-14 season or 4-13 season, doesn't see him coming back. BT, on the other hand, says, how does Zach develop? So this has to play out. It's not going to be like, the 70s and 80s Yankees when George Steinbrenner tells the GM to fire Billy Martin and bring in a coach with 2 months left of the season, with 30 games left of the season, and spark a fire. Saleh is the coach for the rest of the year, unless, we're looking at 1-11, and maybe towards the end of the season, they let him go and they move LaFleur as head coach to the end of the season. I don't know. But there is a distinct possibility that we could see our third head coach in a 5-year span or 4-year span, okay? And Zach Wilson sees maybe his second offensive coordinator in 3 years. I don't know. I think a minor change is Saleh calls the defense. And that's been thrown out there as well. Salah is a defensive coordinator. You let him call the defense. Does that work? Possibly. I don't know. But that's it for the Jets. Just want to go over some scores from yesterday's games. Because right now, just talking about the Jets, it's getting beat up. Just like with the win last week, I didn't want it to go too far, 24 hours. We're about at 23 and a half hours right now, 23 hours. Get to 4:15, and let's move on. So anyway, tonight, Giants host Dallas. That's going to be, I believe, a really good game. The atmosphere at MetLife is going to be electric for two reasons. Number one, and nothing against MetLife Giants season ticket holders, Dallas fans are all over the country. Everybody wants to see America's team. Dallas fans travel extremely well. So it's going to be a lot of Dallas fans here tonight. You're 2-0 with a chance to go 3-0. Your first divisional and, of course, conference game at home Monday night. You're the only game on TV, the only game in the league right now. This place is going to be electric. The Giants go to 3-0. It's huge. Plus, the Eagles are flying high. No pun intended. So we'll go with the Eagles. They beat the Commanders yesterday 24-8. Eagles 3-0. Commanders fall to 1-2. The Titans beat the Raiders 24-22, and the Raiders are now 0-3. Titans go to 1-2. Titans lost to, the Giants week 1, and then they lost last week. I think they were just manhandled by the Bills. So they go to 1-2. They needed that. Ravens beat the Patriots 37-26. That game was tight late, and then the Ravens kind of pulled away. Ravens go to 2-1. Patriots go to 1-2. And in the game where Miami, they're 3-0. Are they a convincing 3-0? Well, they beat the Bills, who everybody has going to at least the AFC Championship game, if not the game after that, in Miami. And the Dolphins win 21-19. So enjoy your Monday night game tonight. I will have a preview video either Thursday or Friday of this week. Jets at Pittsburgh. We'll have an update on who the quarterback is going to be. Hopefully an update on Quincy Williams and his ankle or his leg. And hopefully getting ready for a win in Pittsburgh. And I'll go into that Pittsburgh game as well. We'll break it down, look at history on it. Before anything else, I just want to say that yesterday was Nick Mangold Day at MetLife. He went into the Ring of Honor. Now, I believe that Revis, Mangold, and I think DeBrinkshaw Ferguson all are eligible for the Hall of Fame next, the upcoming year. Revis is going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. I don't know if Mangold gets another first ballot. But yesterday was his first step. Jet Ring of Honor is something he should be proud of. He played all 10 seasons with the Jets. I know later on in his career he lost some games due to injury. But he was always a class act. I met him a few times. My kids met him a few times. My nieces met him a few times. Always there for the fans. I didn't get to tape his speech during halftime, but at the end he said, he'd like to thank the Johnson family, which threw some boos, the Jets and his former teammates, his family, and then he said the fans, tears to the fans, and he pulled a Bud Light out of his pocket, popped it open, saluted the fans, and drank it down. Just like he was one of us. He had his family there. And then they unveiled his name up in the Ring of Honor, which is in the upper corner of the end zone, opposite of where the visiting team comes out. So visiting sideline, upper end zone corner. And this was the footage yesterday of them unveiling the statue. I'm sorry, the name of the Ring of Honor. 100 levels facade, and we unveil your name, the 19th member
Jets Ring of Honor, which will be displayed at every Jets home game at MetLife Stadium.
So congratulations, number 74. Nick, you were always a class act on and off the field. Every time we met you, you were great. You got close twice in those championship games, which you could have gotten one for yourself and for us. But enjoy retirement. And I hope that you are part of the Jet family going forward. We don't see a lot of alumni at the games, just a handful. But I hope that we see you more often. So check us out, Jet fans, on YouTube. Subscribe to the channel, The Takeoff. We do at least 1 to 2 videos a week, minimum.